I'm Craig Beaumont-Flynn. Welcome to Beyond the Design, a show that gives you a peek behind the curtain of the design industry and shares the stories of those that are the driving force behind it. Well, welcome to Beyond the Design, and today we have with us Martyn Lawrence Bullard. Welcome to the show, Martyn.
Well, thank you. It is a pleasure to be with you today.
Well, thank you. What sparked your passion for interior design initially? How do you cultivate your distinctive style?
Wow. I have been doing this really since the age of 12, as mad as that sounds. I convinced my dad to rent a stall for me at Greenwich Antique Market in South London at the age of 12. Where I would run around first thing in the morning with my little bit of allowance, my pocket money, as we call it in England,
right,
and buy bits and pieces from other people's stalls, at the back of cars. They used to call them car boot sales. I'd buy all this sort of junk that I thought was pretty, and I'd take it and I'd make it look better on my stand, and then I'd wait for unsuspecting American tourists to come along where I could sell it to them with a story and a profit.
Wow.
That's where I kind of learned my trade.
That's a song and dance show.
The tap dance, exactly.
Right.
And so I did that till I was almost 17. At which point I made enough money to put myself through drama school, actually, which had been my first passion. But when as the years rolled on and the acting career didn't really work, and after I moved to LA, I realized that I'd given myself all this knowledge about design and antiques and how to put two things together to make them more attractive. And that's really where the design career started. And so I think because the background is so crazy and so unusual, it's the understanding for me of, everything can be put together and create something beautiful if you do it the right way. And that's the way I look at all my projects. I'm not sure if that answers your question, but you got a whole story there.
Well, 12 years old is quite a career drive, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Well, your clients list reads a who's who of Hollywood. When embarking on a project with such high-profile personalities, how do you delve into the personal style to create a space that really resonates with them?
The most important thing for me is to capture somebody's personality. I don't want you to walk into their house and go, oh, this is a Martyn Lawrence Bullard house. I want you to walk into their house and go, oh, Cher, this is so your house. Or, Kylie Jenner, this is so you, this is so your brand. I want to have captured who they are. That is so important. I think for any design, it doesn't matter who it is.
Right.
You want to walk in and feel that the person that lives there is really the person who decorated it rather than me decorating it. So that's really been kind of the whole ethos of what I do, is getting to know somebody, asking them a series of questions. What do you love? What do you not love about your current house? What is your dream household? What is the most beautiful restaurant that you like to go to? What is the best hotel? Now, that might not be about the ambiance or the location or it's sitting on a lake. That might be about the lighting that makes you feel safe, or the bed that is the perfect size. So all of these things add up as a little sort of piece of a jigsaw puzzle that eventually give me the pieces to put together the big picture that allows me to decorate for you. And that is what it's all about.
Is there a signature piece that you try to incorporate that has your own stamp on it just to keep a little bit of yourself there?
No. My signature is ever changing. I mean, just look at my checks for
that. Yeah. Well, a hallmark of your work is the seamless blend of beauty and livability and just style itself. Can you share your approach to achieving this balance in your designs?
Oh, goodness. Balance in the designs. Is there such a thing as balance in design? There's got to be freedom in design.
Right.
I don't think that you need to look at something as a balancing act. I think you have to let it flow. And hopefully, with the right direction and the right amount of confidence, you can create something that's really beautiful without having a formula.
Well, with your recent monograph Star Style, you offer an inside look at glamorous interiors. RuPaul is named one that just came about on AD. What motivated you to create this book, and what was the process like for you?
This is my 30-year anniversary in the business. I can't even believe I've been doing it for 30 years. My God, but
just like yesterday.
Crazy. It's crazy. So 30 years, here we are. And I wanted to, this is my third book actually, but I wanted this book to be kind of a celebration of what has really created my career, certainly internationally. And that at the end of the day has got to be all of the celebrities, because that's the ones that the world's eyes have been on.
Right.
And so in the book, I decided to highlight a bunch of the celebrities that I've worked with, many of them many times, and show their most recent projects. I mean, this book kind of covers work over the last 7 or 8 years. But in there we have, my last project for Elton John, my reworked project for Cher. We've got, as you mentioned, RuPaul. We've got supermodels like Winnie Harlow and Alessandra Ambrosio. My longtime beloved friend and client, Ellen Pompeo. I've got many people that have been in my life for a long time in this book, and they just happen to be stars. And we just happen to have managed to capture who they are within the pages of this book. I hope.
Was anyone hurt that you didn't include them?
That's a very good question. Well, I haven't heard anything bad yet, but hey,
no.
there might be a few out there.
Well, having starred in $1 Million Decorators and Hollywood Me, how has being on television influenced your approach to design, if at all?
What being on television did is it exposed me as a brand. It kind of, when you decorate for people, 50 people see their house in the course of the year, or you do a hotel and maybe, 100, 200 people see it every day. Right. That's amazing. When you go onto television, 20 million people see you.
Right. All at once.
All at once. Our very old show, $1 Million Decorators, is now trending on Netflix, and it's trending in 102 countries. So that's millions and millions of people. So what that does, it puts you in front of a vast audience, and that audience, they either love you or they hate you, but there's a reaction to you. And that eventually means that you end up with product. And you end up with product to sell, things that are part of your signature or things you've designed in partnership with other people. And it opens that world, that side of this business up. So for a decorator to be able to appear on TV and create a presence is an extraordinary thing for your business.
Well, Martyn, how do you keep inspired and motivated and not be stagnant by design?
Travel is really the number one. To keep traveling, to keep seeing, to keep experiencing is really the way that inspiration comes to me. Mm-hmm. I also, and by the way, travel doesn't mean you've got to get on a plane and go to Paris. Travel means you could drive 2 miles up the street and suddenly stop and look at a field and see beautiful green trees and oranges growing, and understand that green and orange are the most brilliant color palette for your next living room or fabric design. It's about keeping yourself open. It's about always being aware of everything around you and letting it soak in like a sponge. But it's also about people that you meet. It's about the food that you might taste. Inspiration comes from everywhere. And so for me, that's something that I'm always open to. I'm always open to being fed something new and exciting. Also, to be honest, I think that it's very important to never kind of put yourself into one style. There are many designers, decorators out there that have one look. They keep selling that one look over and over again. They'll see the same sofa in 20 houses.
Right.
That is not me. I want to design differently for everybody. Again, I want to capture their personality, and there's not one of us in this entire world that is the same. So why decorate the same for them?
True.
Like if you'll see my book, there's everything from the restoration of an 18th century country house to a Moroccan spa to an ultra-modern mid-century house. I want to be able to do everything and to do it well. And that means that it's all about being constantly open to information, always learning, always looking to be inspired. and always taking direction from the person you're working with.
Now, in your own environment, do you continually evolve and change things out in your own residence?
Much to the horror of my accountants. There's always some new addition coming along. I mean, I was just at Round Top, Texas, which I don't know if you've ever been to that.
Yeah, I have. I love it.
It's wild and crazy with, what is it, 17 miles of antique dealers. And of course, I bought a truckload of stuff, and now it's got here. I've ended up wanting half the truckload of it at home. So, disaster.
So is your place ever evolving, ever changing, ever renovating? And
yeah, there's always something new happening. There's always something. I get inspired by whatever the job is I'm doing. So whatever it is, again, if it was that 18th century country house in Ireland, suddenly I want a piece of Irish silver in the living room. If it's the ultra modern Elton John apartment, suddenly I want, an orange pair of sunglasses. Whatever it is, I mean, it's mad. So
keep you busy. Keep me busy on my toes. Your portfolio spans residential, commercial, hospitality. Is there a special sector, or is there a specific sector that you have not done work in that you really want to?
Yeah, I'd like to do more commercial. I mean, I really enjoyed doing hotels. I've done a handful of them now, I think 6 or 7. But I really enjoy that because, as I mentioned earlier, with a hotel, you can have 500 people a day experience your work in a space. And that is an amazing thing. But it's also really exciting because hotels are about creating fantasy. It's about creating somewhere that provokes a memory, that makes you feel sexy, that makes you feel attractive, that makes you feel excited, that gives you sense of place.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the wonderful thing about creating environments like hotels and restaurants. So I really would like to do more of that. And I've got offers on the table. I'm doing a big restaurant at the moment for called Red O, for Chef Rick Bayless. But and I have a couple of hotels on the boil. But anyway, that's something that excites me. I love the idea of more of that.
What do you find most challenging and rewarding about working across such a wide variety and sector of different projects?
That you get to meet so many different people. You get to work in so many different styles. Again, it keeps me on my toes. I need somebody to keep me on my toes.
And your next inspiration to redo your house.
Exactly.
Well, is there a particular project that stands out that's really meaningful or transformative to you that you would want to do again, or that's part of your career that was a pinnacle?
It's so hard when people say to me, "Oh, what was your favorite project?" or "What was the project that meant so much to you?" Every current project is kind of your favorite. It's like a newborn baby. You don't like to admit it to your other children, but that's suddenly a new favorite. So it's always the evolution. I mean, we just finished Sylvester Stallone's house in Palm Beach, which, you can't imagine suddenly you're decorating for Rambo. It's wild. But the reality is that he's an amazing art collector. He's passionate about art. He has an extraordinary collection spanning from, amazing things like Francis Bacon and Basquiat and Picasso to very edgy art like Rashid Johnson and very, very contemporary things. And so to work with somebody who's so passionate about art, when you incorporate the art so extensively into their home, is a wonderful and exciting thing. So that was so great. But also, I think about, RuPaul's, which was on the cover of AD last year. I mean, it's not very often you get to decorate for the world's most famous drag queen, where you have to create a closet to house 3,000 ball gowns. So, because after all, what is a boy going to do with all his dresses?
True. Go out to McDonald's a lot, I guess. I don't know.
So, yeah, listen, I've been so lucky in my career. I've done so many exciting, crazy, extraordinary things. And it keeps going. And we've got an amazing roster of things happening right now, everything from the Tiffany building on Worth Avenue to some amazing rock stars to a leopard-clad private jet. I mean, there's so much going on. It's really fantastic.
Now, you've done a lot of international work. Is there any particular place that really you want to go back to and do more, or you haven't been yet?
Well, I restored a 12th century castle in Umbria a few years ago. Literally, the castle had been blown up during the Second World War, and a very adventurous client of mine bought it and went into a 3-year restoration. And when I say restoration, it truly was a restoration where we were shopping the world to bring back, wonderful Tuscan and Umbrian furniture to this castle. And I employed all of the students at the Uffizi that summer to come and paint the ceilings and do, crazy, amazing things. So that was an incredible project. The castle has recently been bought by somebody else who are actually asking me to go there and do some more work on it. So that's a really fun thing, to go back and visit a project that you were so passionate about, and to kind of, get to not even rework it, get to give it another layer, another kiss going forward. So I think that's kind of a fun thing that's happening right now.
I like that analogy, giving it another kiss, another spark of life, I guess.
Yeah.
So how important do you feel it is to be involved in the wider design community and ongoing dialogues within the field?
I think it's very important. I think it's wonderful to mix amongst your peers, because I think you all get to learn from each other. This is a crazy business. We're juggling many personalities. You're often a therapist. You're many things in this job. And so there's something wonderful about being part of a community and being friends within that community. And I'm very lucky. I have so many great friends, that are in this industry. And I'm very lucky I have a big fan base, whether it's from the design or from the TV. And so I was in High Point, Carolina, just recently, and I gave a talk to 900 people, and we signed 300 books afterwards. And it was just amazing to talk to all those people afterwards and, take pictures with them and everything, but, hear everybody's story, hear how they were inspired. Some people were saying to me, "Oh, you were my inspiration. You made me leave my job and take up a design career." Or, "I came to see you today because I loved so-and-so's house and I wanted to feel the energy that inspires me to do my own house." It's just wonderful. It's such an extraordinary thing to have those kind of fans, that kind of energy, that passion.
Absolutely.
That passion, to feel those people's passion and to be able to help feed it it's beyond an amazing dream.
When you self-reflect and where you're at now in your career, did the 12-year-old expect this, or was this the direction you wanted to go? And what are you surprised amongst this journey?
The 12-year-old was too busy making up stories to sell you a teacup. Supposedly the Queen had just had her afternoon tea out of for a profit. Listen, I had no idea that I would ever, have this turn into a career. I literally tripped up into this career, having come here to be an actor and then ending up working on a movie. And the producer that I befriended came to my little tiny house and they loved it. And they said, "Would you decorate our offices?" And I just did that because I thought they'd give me another movie, not knowing that suddenly the president of Capitol Records would call me and say, "I love what you did. Will you come and do my house?" I mean, that's literally how this started at the age
it's all about timing, place and time.
Right. I was 23. And so that's how it kicked off. And, by the time I was 26, I had my own business and, was working with massive stars already. It was crazy. So I never knew this was going to happen. I fell into it. Like I said, I've been so lucky. Like people say in America, I've been so blessed. Listen, I really have been blessed with having a career that I wake up every day and I love doing, that other people have enjoyed what I've been doing for and with them, and that I get to make beauty. I mean, God, that's such an incredible thing to do.
Experiential environments, are amazing because it infuses the senses in all aspects: vision, taste, smell, touch, everything.
I've literally seen, massive changes in people's lives by the way that they live after you've done their house. You know, even from when I've done lots of TV shows over the years now, and I did one in England years ago where I sort of surprised kind of a needy person on the street and sent them to Hollywood for a makeover, and I made over their houses whilst they were away. And one of which was a policewoman who'd been badly hurt during a riot, and she had triplets, 3 little boys. Anyway, I ended up giving them a dining room, like a dining niche with a banquet and everything. And she wrote to me 3 months later and said, "You've changed my life. I'd never sat and had dinner with my 3 boys before.
Wow.
They were always on the floor in front of the television." She said, "Now we all sit every night and have dinner together. And it has changed our relationship, and it's changed the way I feel about my life." Isn't that incredible?
That's impactful. Absolutely.
You know, so it's decorating, design, the way we live can change the way we live for the better.
What surprised you the most in this journey thus far?
That anybody hires me.
That's a good one. Well, speaking of being hired, I mean, the Kardashians hired you for their residence, and it was one of the best sellers for Architectural Digest.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I've worked in some form or the other for all of them along the way, all the Kardashian Jenners. I've had a great time. I've loved them. Kris Jenner is an amazing woman. She's an extraordinary powerhouse. She's really a generous, wonderful spirit. I've loved all the girls. Kylie Jenner's house was, and I think still is, the biggest downloaded interior design store in history. When that launched, it got 1.6 billion impressions.
Wow.
And before that, there'd only been 600 million, which had been the White House. So that was, I mean, by the way, that's nothing to do with my decorating, even though I'd like to claim it as such. It's to do with the power of her, but still, I'm happy to be on that journey.
Yeah. Nice to be on those coattails, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
What do you think made it so resonate so strongly with readers?
Well,
the name brand, or
obviously the Keeping Up with the Kardashians at that point was at its highest ratings. Mm-hmm. And she, being the youngest, is the one that had been on the show from being a very young child all the way up, you know, to being 21 when I worked with her then. And she'd just become a billionaire, so all the eyes were on a 21-year-old, first of the family to become a billionaire from a makeup empire. It's an extraordinary storyline, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so all the young people in the world really looked up to her. And so I think obviously a lot of those impressions were probably, you know, young girls all over the world from, you know, London and Madrid and Shanghai. And, you know what I mean? It was a lot of eyes like that on it. But amazing for me because suddenly very young people also know who you are. You know what I mean? Exactly. Just by association. That's an amazing thing.
With all that you've achieved and done so far, what's next for you and where do you want to go? What do you want to do that you haven't done and you want your path to head toward?
Wow. Well, again, I love designing product. So product is really fun for me. I have 17 licenses and 2 new ones coming out this year. And so I always love doing that. So more of that is always fun because you get to see the way people use things that you've designed in their own way. And it's wildly inspirational to see that and an amazing thing. Like I said earlier, I'd like to do more commercial work. I think more hotels and stuff would be really fun. And maybe like a fabulous private island resort or something really, you know, luxuriant and wild. And I you know, again, I like a challenge. I like doing weird and wonderful. So I've already, you know, done many things like palaces in Saudi Arabia and stuff like that. Now I'd like to do something like, you know, a hunting lodge in Kenya or, you know, something really extraordinary that is just not run of the mill. Again, I've been lucky in my career to do things like restore a 12th century castle, rework an 18th century country manor in Ireland, you know, create fantasy sets for Cher. I mean, I've done all these amazing things. So it's hard for me to think of something that I could really want to get my teeth into, but it has to be something unusual and inspirational, like a safari park in Africa.
Hey, I'll pack your bags for you and be your valet.
I've even got the colour shirt on. I'm ready to go. I'm in my camo.
Well, design can be challenging, and obviously you like challenges. Is there anything particular that really you look forward to being challenged? And has anything that you've been challenged to been daunting that kind of changed your navigation of how to resolve?
Challenges every day that are daunting, from the simplest thing of a piece of fabric going missing for an installation you're supposed to be doing tomorrow. You know what I mean? There's always some drama happening over here. And so, everything from on our end of the business, we customize almost everything. And so, you hope everything's going to be correct. But I will never forget once, I made a dining table that had been measured sort of to the 1/8 of an inch to get into an elevator. And when we got to the building with our perfectly measured table, in the 2 months it took to make it, they changed the elevator. And so suddenly this table couldn't get in the new elevator. And we had to block a New York street to get it hoisted up above a building. Oh. So there's crazy shit that happens.
All right.
I think you just got to breathe through it all. You got to go with the flow. You can't take it too seriously, because after all, this is just decorating. It's not life or death or brain surgery.
Right.
Some people think it is, but it's not. Although sometimes I feel like I need brain surgery after installation. But listen, I think you breathe through everything, because at the end of the day, there is an answer to everything, and there is beauty that always comes out of distress.
Has there been a particular project where you were asked to do something and you're just like, I just cannot. It's against my...
I've had a few things over the years that have been really bizarre. I had a client once ask, when people ask me this, I often bring this up, because it was just too decadent. Somebody wanted to gold leaf their garage, floor, walls, and ceiling, so when they drove in, their entire image was reflected in gold. And I thought, you know what? There are people starving in the world, and we are going to spend, $1 million on gold leaf that's going to rub off every time the car pulls in. I was like, it's too tacky for me. I don't want to do it. So there were, but some of the crazy things people ask for, like, in recent years we've been asked to do a bunch of sex rooms, and so used to be everybody wanted a glam room, then they all wanted a cold plunge. Now they all want a sex room.
Yeah,
so hey, I'm not sure why they look at me and go, "Can you make me a sex room?" But hey,
he's the one to hire.
I've now got it down to a science. What, you want a gold-plated dildo? I can find it for you in about 10 minutes.
Didn't know they were out there, but now you learn something every day.
Well, they're customizable. Anyway, so it's mad. But you never know what someone's going to ask for next. But like I said, that's the challenge. That's the thing that makes it fun, is that we never know what someone's going to want to do next. And so because of that, it's an exciting world.
Now that you got that vision, stuck in my beyond your personal identity, what personal philosophies or ethos guide you in life?
Oh, my ethos. Integrity, honesty. I'm bluntly honest with my clients. If I think something doesn't look good, or it doesn't sound good, or they don't look good in it, I'm going to tell you, because we're here to make the decorative dreams come true. Mm-hmm. And if it doesn't look right, I'm going to tell them. You know what I mean? It's very, very important to me. So that, number one, I think, is the most important thing to do. And also, to make sure that you're upfront, that everything is shown, that everybody understands everything, that they understand the financials, they understand the look of the design, that everything is kept upfront. To me, that is a very important part of this business. And as part of my business ethos, that's what I do. And I do that, in my personal life too. Everything needs to be put out there, upfront, done, sealed, dusted, so that we can sleep at night.
Mm-hmm. Now, you've done a lot of licensing. Is there any products that you want to try your hand out that you haven't?
I've got so many things, silver, tabletop, tiles, fabrics, shade store, wood flooring for du chateau, so many things out there. Fabulous things. I've never really done a furniture line. I was creative director for design for Frontgate for like 3 years. And I did a bunch of furniture and stuff for them.
Mhm.
But I've never done an actual furniture line exclusively, which is wild because it's normally the number one thing that everybody does.
True.
At some point, I'd love to do a really good furniture line. And then I love the idea of an amazing jewelry line. I love jewelry. I've always loved it. The men's market for jewelry is the largest growing potential that's out there. So it would be really fun to do something with that. I've had a few offers along the way. I even designed a little line for a while, but I'd like to get back into that because jewelry is like fashion, which is hand in hand with interiors. And I feel that like a doorknob or the handle on a drawer is a piece of jewelry to an interior.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I like the idea of expanding that and doing that. Yeah, that would be really fun.
So beyond design, the realm of design, what are your passions or hobbies that contribute to your creativity that get the juices flowing, you could say?
Something that I find very inspiring are the movies.
Yeah.
I love to, one of the things I do to chill out, to relax, is to watch the movies. And I really, really think that you can get so much inspiration from watching a great movie set, or especially old movies. Some of those old movies are unbelievable. Those Busby Berkeley things from the 30s and 40s are incredible, their sets. It's absolutely amazing. So I love that. I love to watch movies. And then I really enjoy, visiting beautiful country houses, old estates. When I'm in Europe, I love to go to a great castle, to a great museum, because you never know what you're going to see that could inspire something you're going to do again, And so for me, that's also a way that I feed my mind, but I also, rejuvenate my soul.
So 2 questions: black and white or color film?
Oh my God. Well, look, I love black and white because we all look better in black and white, but you need to see color because our world is full of color, and I'm a colorist. Mm-hmm. And so color is important to me.
Favorite female actress?
Whoa.
Let's go past, so you don't offend anyone that you've done a project for.
Listen, my first house that I owned in Los Angeles was Gloria Swanson's house.
My favorite.
And she lived there when she filmed Sunset Boulevard.
Really?
Which is an amazing movie to see for the sets and the crazy houses and the Duesenberg and all the madness that happens. So I'd have to say, in all of her great drama and sort of, obviously she was trained in the silent movies and went into the talkies, and there's all those eyebrows raised and exaggerated hands. There's something fantastic about that. You know what I mean? It's so ridiculously watchable.
That face, just the movement of the face, the expressions.
It's crazy amazing. Yeah.
Okay, actor.
Wow. Again, that's a hard one because there's so many extraordinary actors out there in the world, doing extraordinary things. I think Joaquin Phoenix is an amazing actor because of the way he constantly evolves into his characters and does these extraordinary roles that many other people wouldn't take on. I just watched Napoleon the other day, which a lot of people didn't like.
So did I.
But I really like. Obviously, again, I'm all about the sets and the costumes and everything.
Right.
But I thought he emulated, this Napoleonic character quite amazingly. But just when you think about all the movies he's done over the years, he's a brilliant actor. There are many extraordinary actors. I love Ryan Gosling. He's so versatile in what he does, from singing and dancing to very kind of moody. And there's so many brilliant actors. It's crazy.
Is there a particular time period you would like to go back to and live, given design and fashion?
I love the idea of the elegance of the 30s, the early 1930s, between the wars, where there was still great elegance and people dressed for dinner, and there were these wonderful, these wonderful interiors that sort of exploded from the heaviness of the Victorian Edwardian era into this fresh modernity, but still great luxury and wonderful refined materials that were being used, beautiful chagrins and parchment and all these amazing things. That is a very inspirational period. and again, great elegance within the world.
And the craftsmanship and the details.
And beautiful craftsmanship, exactly.
Yeah. Was there a definitive moment of your project or your life and your design career that really was the trajectory of your career, that really emphasized, this is my start?
My first ever real job, after I worked for the executive president of Capitol Records, who's a lady called Liz Heller, who has become one of my closest friends and actually manages my career these days. She introduced me. She sat me at her wedding next to a lady called Cheryl Teagues, who was the world's first ever supermodel.
Right.
Kind of an American icon.
Mm-hmm.
And so by the end of that wedding, Cheryl had hired me without seeing my work, without knowing anything. And she was my first real job. And so, by the time that project had been finished, within 9 months, it was on the cover of 6 magazines around the world. And it was a Balinese-style pavilion in the hills of Bel Air. Neither of us had been to Bali at the time. It was a complete fantasy. And, but it taught me so much. It captured the spirit of her life. She'd been married to Peter Beard, the great photographer, and lived on the Serengeti plain with him. And, she had sort of like Karen Blixen from Out of Africa's silver teapots and, crazy things from her life that we incorporated into this beautiful interior. And it became an iconic interior. I still see it pop up all the time on Instagram and stuff, and Pinterest. And so that was what launched my career, was that project, because I was a complete unknown. Suddenly I'm on all these magazine covers and people know who I am. And the fact that she was, this celebrity brought other celebrities. Immediately I got phone calls from Sigourney Weaver, and then Edward Norton, and then Christina Aguilera, and Rebecca Romaine, who was married to John Stamos. That all happened within like a year of that project coming out.
Wow.
And so that was the definitive, breaking ground of my career. And then, of course, it rolled on and on through that. And then I ended up getting more and more kind of celebrities, and more work exploded. And then it got into sort of the big time, with people like Cher, and then Sir Elton John and David Furnish, where the world's eyes are really on them. Mm-hmm. And so the world's eyes became on me within the press. And then all those accolades started. I mean, I think this year was my 17th year on the AD 100. I think I'm the longest individual on that list now ever. So this career has been amazing. And let's not forget, I haven't had one day's training. All my training came from standing at that stall selling you those old chipped teacups.
You made your family proud. In the midst of the success and recognition, how do you stay grounded and really self-reflect and just kind of tune out and calm down?
Well, I stay grounded because I know who I am. I know where I came from. You can't have any airs and graces in this industry. I never forget this is a service industry. So number one, I'm really lucky to be hired for my services. But number two, as a service industry, if my client asks me to clean their toilet, I'll clean their toilet. You know what I mean? I might have 2 housekeepers. I'm cleaning my stuff. But if they want me to do it, I'm going to do it, because they're the ones that have hired me. They put their trust in me and they want me to do their servicing. And so you have to stay grounded to understand that. Doesn't matter how famous you are. Doesn't matter I had 900 people come to see me talk the other day. It's not about that. This is about the work. This is about creating the beauty. This is about respecting your clients and servicing your clients and presenting a beautiful product. And that's what it's all about.
How have you seen the industry change since you started, and some of the new things happening?
The biggest changes really have happened since COVID, because obviously during COVID, a lot of businesses went under. A lot of assistants and people opened their own businesses because they thought they could do it because they'd been doing it all remotely. So a lot of things changed and shifted within the industry. And then, of course, now with the evolution of things like AI and all this, amazing things, which for good or for bad are going to change the industry forever. We have to work with that, understand that, learn how to be part of it, and evolve. You know, anybody that wants to stay in this industry needs to keep up with the trends, needs to keep up with what's new, needs to keep up with technology. So the biggest change for all of this is technology, and the second largest change is the fact that the industry is changing to retail. So before, everything used to be to the trade.
Correct.
You know, the public couldn't go and buy the fabrics or couldn't go and buy the furniture. Now, most things are available to the public. So now it's about not so much procuring, it's about the educationary process of how to put it together and understand space and space planning. And so that's where we are. That's our kind of evolution.
How do you gear a client that comes to you with a picture, say, I want this, instead of having that collaboration and that communication, understanding their personality, their lifestyle? They just want a copy of this.
Well, I love people that bring imagery to me because, you know, that is all part of the tapestry. You know, that's some of the threads that you use to create their tapestry. If somebody comes to me with a picture and says, I want you to copy this exactly, then they've come to the wrong person. Because I don't do that. Yes, we can be inspired by that picture of, I don't know, Taylor Swift's bathroom or whatever the hell it is.
Right.
And, you know, and take that inspiration and put it into the mix and create something that's their own blend. But to do the exact copy, where's the excitement in that? Doesn't make any sense. Right.
Has any client come to you and said, I loved what you did for this person, now I want you to do it for me?
Yeah. I mean, we had many people do that. I mean, certainly after all the publications of all the Kardashians, you can't imagine the amount of people that wanted to have, you know, a Kardashian living room or whatever. And so there was a lot of that went on. But, you know, the people that I ended up working with, we refashioned it to be them, to be, you know, the Smiths, not the Kardashians. Do you know what I mean? It's more about making it, giving them the look, but making it their own.
In essence, you've kind of self-taught yourself in this industry. What advice would you give to someone that's wanting to get involved or go in this direction of design?
Get a good bookkeeper.
It does help.
Listen, this is a business. And it doesn't matter how passionate you are or how talented you are or how amazing you are at, you know, arranging flowers and throwing fabric around. You have to not only make money, you have to honor your client's money and be able to show where every penny of that has gone. And so you need that accountant. They're your best friends.
We'll put it out to the stars in heaven. Is there anybody that you would really want to do a project for that hasn't asked you yet?
Oh, gosh.
I mean, you've had the A of the A list. So
yeah, funny enough, I've got a client right now that I would have given you that name as a person, but we just got them. So and I can't say who it is right now, but it's really, really fun. I'm very excited about that. So that's really amazing. But, you know, I'd love to do something. I mean, even though I've lived in LA for 30 years, I'd love to do something really cool in England. You know, how amazing would it be to have William and Kate call me up and say, oh, you know, we'd like to do a modern throne room in Buckingham Palace. You know, something mad like that would be amazing. Right. You know what I mean? As a Brit, to do something like that would be incredible. So I'm not sure it's going to happen, but hey, if you're out there, your Majesties, I'm ready with my tape measure.
Yeah, you got to send it out to the world for them to hear. So what's next for Mr. Martyn?
What's next? Well, we've got a bunch of projects going on all over the place. A lot of travel coming up. Some fun. Actually, I'm going on a really fun trip with a bunch of great decorators. I think there's like 15 of us. And we are going to a bunch of stately homes in England on a wallpaper tour.
Oh, wow.
To see 18th century wallpapers in all these different homes, and all these various sort of dukes and lords and ladies and things are hosting dinners and luncheons and in their amazing homes that they don't usually open to the public. So not only will we get to see this extraordinary history, I'll be with a group of like really amazing, it's mostly all AD 100 designers from around the country. And so we'll have this incredible energy of being inspired by our surroundings and by each other. So I'm looking forward to that. That'll be an amazing week. I've never done anything like it before, and it'll be really cool.
It sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Well, maybe you'll run into William and Kate.
Hey, well, we are ending up at a luncheon at Buckingham Palace. So let's see if they'll be hiding in the corridor.
Any new TV shows? Another book?
There definitely will be another book, but obviously not for a while. And there are 2 TV shows out there at the moment. We're waiting for one to finalize budgets, but yes, there's more TV in the works. So stay tuned.
Now, when you put together your book, how do you choose what projects to include? And how do you want to format it? Where's that process start with you?
Well, again, this one was really about sort of honoring the people that have honored me along the way and helped me, establish my career, which is why I called the book Star Style, because it is about the style of the stars that I've worked for. Mm-hmm. And so that was very particular, and I chose the celebrities that are in the book for not only for the design, but for, the way they'd inspired me along the way. The forward for this one was with Cher, and I've worked with Cher for almost 20 years. One of the house that's featured in the book, I've redone 3 times for her, but she is amazing because she's lived her life on the stage. And so in a way, her home is another stage, another set for her to star on. And so that that's been an amazing person to work with and for. And so I wanted to honor people like that in the book. So this book was very easy. I picked all my sort of, favorites amongst the mix, or ones that made the most sense, or the ones that people haven't seen before. Mm-hmm. And that's how we formulated this book. But, a book is really your greatest business card. It's showing the best of the best, and it's also allowing you to write and express yourself in the way that you want to be known and heard. So that's the way I look at books.
What do you want to be known as?
Oh, wow. I want, it's amazing to be known as a good decorator, but it's more amazing to be known as somebody that's inspired other people. And so, I've got icons that have inspired me, people like David Hicks and Renzo Mongiardino. And so to know that some people think of me in the same way that I think of my icons that have inspired me is an amazing thing. So to be known as a tastemaker, to be known as somebody that inspires people within design, and somebody that's created, some fantastical interiors for people, that's pretty amazing.
So if you had a tagline, what would it be in your design style?
Oh, well, my tagline is live, love, and decorate.
Hey, there you go. Why not?
and these days it's live, love, and decorate with Star Style.
There you go. In 50 years' time, how would you describe your design style?
Eclectic, exuberant, and totally personal.
So if I walked into your home today, do you feel it capsulates and has your personality? And what does that personality describe?
Again, my house, my main house, I have a few houses. I'm very lucky. I've managed to buy a few houses in my lifetime that I've got. But my main house in Los Angeles right now, which is a 1920s Spanish style villa, has got a bunch of Moroccan flares, touches. I love that sort of very sexy exotica. Mm. But it's also mixed in with my collection of photography that I'm very passionate about. Then it has, everything from Roman busts to, mid-century glass, hand-blown art glass. So it's a real mix of things that I love, all put together in a cohesive way with color. My favorite color is greens. There's a lot of green in my house. Black and white is always, a solid background for me that I build upon. I love, that sort of purple and deep eggplant. And so there's a whole mix of that in the flavor. And so that's definitely colors and nods towards things I love throughout my career that you sort of see blended into my own personality, and that I've done for other people. So, it's an eclectic interior. It's got everything from, ancient to mid-century to the most modern. It's a mix. I live by the words of the great Oscar Wilde, which was, all beautiful things belong to the same age. And that's exactly how my home is put together.
So does each home have its own personality, or is it each home has Martyn's personality?
No, they do. I mean, they capture some of my personality too. But my Palm Springs house, which is a very mid-century house, is sort of almost camp in the way that it's been done, meaning it's very Palm Springs of the period. It was built in 1962. All the furniture there is 60s and 70s. All the art is. It's got pops of sort of like bright pink and kind of chartreuse green, which is very, very Palm Springs centric. So yeah, I also believe that the first direction for an interior is to look at the architecture. And so they're all an ode to the architecture and the period of the architecture and honoring that essence. And then that's how the interiors are built up around that.
Well, sir, is there anything else you'd like to share and add or tell our viewers, listeners?
I'd just like to say that for everybody that's listening in, that I'm so honored that you are listening in to me. And I'm really proud of what I've done, where I am. But I'm more proud of the fact that I have all these amazing people that also love what I do and keep honoring me by listening to me and looking at what I do and following me on Instagram and all those amazing things. So I just want to say thank you to everybody, because as a designer, that is something really amazing.
Well, sir, it's been an honor and a pleasure to have you on our show, and continue living in style.
Thank you so much, and keep up that style there.
There you go. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you, Martyn.
Thank you.